I manage routes for a living, and your ending was always on my map. The divorce papers were supposed to arrive next Tuesday. Instead, a bubblegum pink envelope landed in my hands on my 38th birthday, handed to me by the 3 people I once trusted more than anyone. "Happy birthday, Nathan," my mother-in-law Lorna said, voice lacquered with sugar as she passed me the envelope. Her rings flashed like small traffic lights. "This is from all of us." We were at Belandi's, the white tablecloth place where Aria and I had our first date 8 years earlier. The irony was plated thicker than the gnocchi. My wife sat across from me, phone propped at the perfect angle to capture my expression. Her brother Blake smirked beside her, fiddling with an oversized watch as if he were timing a race. "What's this?" I asked, though I already knew. The weight of the envelope, the way Aria wouldn't meet my eyes, how Blake vibrated with nervous triumph, it all told the story. "Just open it, honey," Aria murmured. The pet name felt counterfeit. When had she last used it without a script? I opened the flap slowly, my hands perfectly steady despite the adrenaline. Inside were divorce forms already completed, neon tabs flagging the signature lines, the property sections carefully highlighted in yellow. Belandi's hummed with ordinary life. Birthdays at other tables. A server balancing 3 plates. 2 kids sharing tiramisu. No one noticed an execution. Blake leaned in, unable to contain himself. "Well, what do you think?" I set the papers down, drew the Montegrappa pen Aria had given me for our first anniversary, the one she said symbolized our future, smooth and built to last. "Thank you," I said, calm, and signed every page with practiced economy. This is exactly what I needed. Their faces crumpled. Aria's phone slipped an inch. Lorna's mouth opened and closed. Blake's smirk buckled. I stood, left 3 crisp hundreds to pay for their celebration of my humiliation, and slid the signed bundle back into its pink jacket. "Happy birthday to me," I said, and walked out of Belandi's, leaving behind 3 stunned faces and 8 years of marriage. The valet brought my truck, and I tipped big because it was my birthday. In the restaurant window, I saw frantic hand motions, a clutching chest, a phone flying to an ear. If only they knew what I'd already done before dessert. The discovery had been an accident, like most turning points. I'd come home early from the freight company I'd built from nothing over the last decade, intending to surprise Aria with a weekend away. Instead, I got the surprise. Voices drifted from the living room, Aria's laugh and Lorna's velvet tone. I was about to call out when I heard my name. "Nathan is such an easy mark," Aria said. "He has no idea what's coming." Keys in my hand, I froze in the hallway. "Half his assets," Lorna purred. "The business, the house, the accounts, everything. And Donovan promises you Paris when this is over." Donovan Reed, Aria's boss at the agency where she'd worked the last 3 years. The same name that flashed on her screen at strange hours. The same man who sent her conference invites that never resulted in presentations. "I cannot wait to see his face when we serve him," Aria said. "Blake will film the whole thing for the proceedings. We'll show he was unhinged." "Brilliant," Lorna cooed. "That boy never deserved you. Blue-collar reach wrapped in a dress shirt. Donovan can give you the life you actually deserve." I backed out of the house silently and drove to Harbor Tap, a South Side dive where my old army buddy Tyrell tended bar. The place smelled like spilled beer and stubborn hope, which fit my mood. "You look like someone stole your spare tire," Tyrell said, sliding a whiskey across. "What's eating you?" I told him everything. The overheard conversation, the months of late nights, the cooled bed. Tyrell listened, refilled, and finally asked, "What's the play?" "They want to ambush me on my birthday, film the reaction, write it in court," I said. "Fine, let's give them a show." "I know a guy," Tyrell said. "Private investigator owes me. Give me a day." The next morning, he called with the kind of intel that turns resolve into steel. Donovan Reed, 45, married, 2 kids, senior partner at Reed & Vale Marketing. He and Aria had been at hotels and on weekends away for 8 months, Paris trip booked for the week after my birthday, with an adults-only add-on. The kicker, Donovan's wife, Sylvia Reed, was a high-profile divorce attorney who'd made headlines the previous year for vaporizing a cheating tech founder's fortune. "There's more," Terrell said. "Your mother-in-law has been feeding them your numbers. Bank statements, deeds, balance sheets. She snaps photos on her visits. And Blake? He works for a small PI shop. Not sharp, but nosy. They've been building a file on you for months." Something cold settled in my chest. They hadn't planned to just leave me. They planned to salt the earth. Terrell asked, "What do you want to do?" "Disappear," I said. "Legally, financially, completely. Then watch their world burn." I spent 36 hours reorganizing my existence. The perk of running logistics is knowing how to move things fast, including ownership. My lawyer, Mira Dalton, had helped incorporate Coal Freight 5 years ago. She was discreet and allergic to infidelity after her own scorched earth divorce. "You want to do what?" she said when I showed up at 7 a.m. "Transfer control of the company to a trust with my niece Ava as primary beneficiary," I said. "She's 25, has an MBA, and she's been running ops for 2 years. Aria's never met her." "That's actually shrewd," Mira said. "Other assets?" "Investment accounts move to legal offshore vehicles. The house goes into the trust. I want to be worth what I had when Aria and I married. 50 grand and a 10-year-old pickup." "This will cost you less than a fight would," she said, smiling. "Give me a day." While she drew papers, I planted cameras around the house where Aria wouldn't notice, cloned her laptop, mirrored her phone, and scraped her email. The woman who called me blue-collar reach assumed I couldn't handle tech. Mistake. Then I visited Donovan's office. Reed and Vale occupied the top floors of a glass tower with a river view. I wore khakis and work boots and carried a fake HVAC work order Terrell had printed. "Hear about the air," I told the receptionist. "Boss says Mr. Reed's office is running hot." She waved me through. He was on a call, gesturing at the skyline. Soft around the middle, expensive suit, a man who'd never bloodied his hands for a paycheck. I fussed with Vance until he hung up and turned. "Who are you?" he asked. "Nathan Cole," I said. "Aria's husband." He reached for a button. I lifted a palm. "Relax. Not here to make a scene. Just wanted to meet the man sleeping with my wife." "I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered. "Sure." I picked up a framed beach photo. "Sylvia know about your Paris plans?" Color drained. "Here's the plan," I said, conversational. "You keep doing what you're doing. Take that trip. Stick to the script. But understand I know everything, from the hotel bars to the text threads. And when the time comes, I'll use it." "Is that a threat?" "Education," I said. "You think you're playing chess. You don't even know which board I'm using. Enjoy Paris." That night I came home to Aria cooking for the first time in months, humming as she moved. "You're in a good mood," I said. "Just happy," she said, kissing my cheek. "Work's been great. By the way, I thought Belandi's for your birthday. Where we first went, Mom and Blake want to be there." "Perfect," I said. The morning after, my phone lit with missed calls and texts. Aria, Blake, Lorna. Panic, anger, confusion. I deleted everything and went to work. Coal Freight ran out of an industrial park on the east side. 47 employees. Contracts with national retailers. A reputation for getting things where they needed to go, on time and intact. My assistant, Rosa, looked surprised to see me at 7:30. "Early for the birthday boy," she said. "Dinner go okay?" "Enlightening," I said. "Is Ava in?" "Yeah," Rosa said. "She's in your office going over quarterlies." Ava had my brother's analytical brain and her mother's ruthless calm. I'd been grooming her for 2 years without explaining why. I laid it all out now. The divorce, the transfers, her new role as majority owner. She listened, expression sharpening. "So, Aria never met me?" she asked. "I kept my family separate," I said. "Aria liked things curated." And now I own 60% of a multi-million-dollar logistics company, she said. Now you do, I said. Think you can handle it? She smiled, a predator's half moon. What do you need? For now, nothing. Run the business as usual. If Arya or her people show up, you know me only as a colleague. What happens when they discover the transfers? That's when it gets interesting. Around noon, Arya arrived at the warehouse in designer heels, out of place among forklifts and pallet jacks. I need to speak with Nathan Cole, she told Rosa. He's in a meeting, Rosa said. Can I take a message? I'm his wife. Get him, now. I told Rosa to send her back. I wanted home field advantage. Arya stormed in like a thunderhead. What do you think you're doing? She demanded. Working, I said without looking up. The thing that funds your wardrobe. Don't play games. You signed the papers, but you can't just disappear. We have assets to divide. What assets? I asked. The house, the business, the accounts. What about them? She stared as if I'd lost my mind. They're in the settlement. I read the papers, I said. You get half of what I owned when we married. Congratulations. You are entitled to $25,000 and half a 10-year-old pickup. That is not what... She stopped. Color drained. What did you do? I adapted, I said. When someone spends 8 months planning to gut your life, you can beg, or you can be smarter. Her hands shook. The house is in a trust. Your business. I am an employee. Check the state filings. As for investment accounts, what investment accounts? She sagged into the chair. You cannot do this. I already did, I said. But you and Donovan will love Paris. I hear spring is perfect. The name hit like a slap. How did you know about... I have known for months, I said. Late nights, secret calls, a sudden wardrobe renaissance. Did you think I was blind? Tears started, but nothing inside me moved. We can fix this, she said. I will end it. We can go to counseling. No, I said. You chose your path 8 months ago. I chose mine this week. The papers are signed. You got exactly what you requested. Get out of my office. She left in tears. Through the cameras, I watched her sit in her car, dialing, pleading, calculating. I went back to work. The cracks appeared exactly as predicted. She tried our joint savings and found it closed. She tried the cards tied to me and got declined. She called, texted, called again. I spent my evenings at Harbor Tap listening to Tyrell's field reports from the quiet network a city runs on. She has been at Reed and Vale every day, he said. Barista across the street says she looks wrecked. Donovan is not taking her calls. Smart, I said. He knows Sylvia can vaporize him in court. Speaking of, Tyrell added, word is Sylvia hired a PI last month. Donovan has not been careful. The next visitor was Blake, running on bluster. He paced my office like a caged dog. You think you are clever. Moving assets and hiding money is fraud. Is it? I said. My attorney calls it prudent planning. A judge is welcome to weigh in. We will see what the court thinks. By all means, I said. We can also discuss how you and your mother staged a birthday ambush for the cameras. How your mother obtained my financials without consent. I have recordings. Audio. Video. Paper. He left without another speech. Then came the headline that shook the building. Sylvia Reed filed for divorce, citing adultery and winning an emergency order to freeze Donovan's assets. The Business Journal ran photos of Donovan and Arya leaving a downtown hotel. Arya called me that night, voice cracking. They fired me, she sobbed. They said I am a liability. Donovan will not answer. Sylvia is threatening to sue me for alienation. David, I need help. You need a lawyer, I said. Good ones are not cheap. You took everything. I took what was mine. This is divorce. I made a mistake, she whispered. We can fix. I hung up. Lorna tried next. She arrived at my apartment dressed for a gala, wearing Defiance's perfume. Nathan, we need to talk. No, we do not, I said, and started to close the door. She wedged a foot, composure cracking. You cannot treat my daughter like this. Family forgives. Was I family when you called me blue-collar reach? Was I family when you rehearsed my humiliation? I never said... I have the recordings, I said. Every word. She stared, mask sliding. What do you want? I want distance, I said. All of you. Arya wanted out. She is out. You wanted me gone. I am gone. Congratulations. Arya needs... consequences, I said. The lesson she should have learned decades ago. I closed the door. The pounding faded after a while. 2 weeks later, Tyrell called in the middle of a slow Tuesday. I found him at Harbor Tap with a black eye and a split lip, drying glasses like nothing hurt. What happened? I asked. Your brother-in-law and 2 helpful idiots, he said. They wanted your address, your schedule, your plans. Rage moved through me like a flare. You okay? I have had worse, he said. They made mistakes. We have cameras. We have friends. And we have Detective Martinez. You called him? Already briefed, Tyrell said. They will have a conversation tomorrow. That was not enough for me. Blake had crossed a line. I located his hired muscle that night at a pool hall on the north side, telling stories over cheap whiskey. You boys have a good time last night, I said, sliding onto a stool. The big one eyed me. Do we know you? I am the guy whose friend you jumped, I said, and set an envelope on the bar. Photos. From the bar cameras. Clear shots. Plus a copy of the police report. They traded a glance. Their bravado thinned. Here is what happens, I said. You will call Blake and cancel whatever deal you imagined. You will exit this situation. If I see you near my friend again, these images will follow you to every precinct in the city. You cannot prove anything, the big man said, but he was staring at my phone. I pressed play. They watched themselves walk into Harbor Tap behind Blake and walk out while Blake counted cash. They left their drinks sweating on the wood. Blake himself was more stubborn. He showed up at my apartment 2 nights later, drunk and loud in the parking lot, announcing what he would do to me. I recorded from my balcony for 5 minutes, then went down. You finished? I asked. You think you are smart, he slurred. I know where you work. I know where you sleep. I know how to hurt you. In front of all these cameras, I said. In front of all these neighbors. You want to throw a punch for the record. He swung and stumbled. I stepped aside. He caught himself, looked around at witnesses and lenses, and deflated. This is not over, he said. It is, I said. Threaten me again, and I will have you arrested, and then I will sue you to the studs. He left. I knew he would return, this time with an audience. I was right. 3 days later, he arrived at Coal Freight with Arya and Lorna, a little triangle of resolve. I let them through the dock. I wanted the confrontation in the open, with forklifts humming and cameras rolling. We need to talk, Arya called. I met them in the warehouse, employees pausing, Ava watching from the mezzanine office. You can stop this childish tantrum, Lorna snapped. Arya is your wife. You have responsibilities. Arya is my ex, I said. As of 2 weeks ago. My responsibility is to myself. We know about your shell game, Blake said. Illegal. The IRS reviewed every filing, I said. So did the banks. So did my counsel. You can stop pretending you know what you are talking about. You cannot walk away from 8 years, Arya said. We built a life. I built a life, I said. You lived in it while planning to wreck it. The building quieted. Phones came up. I know I made mistakes, Arya said. You made choices, I said. Affair, ambush, slurs, theft. Those are decisions. What happens now? She asked. You live with consequences, I said. This is not over, Blake said, stepping in. It is, I said. If any of you contact me again, show up here again, or threaten my friends again, I will make your lives very difficult. How? Lorna demanded. I run logistics, I said. I move things, information, money, Inventory. I coordinate operations so outcomes arrive precisely where intended. Do you want to see what happens when I apply that to people? They left, and I knew they would regroup. I was counting on it. The end came 3 weeks later, in a form none of us expected. Tyrell and I were at Harbour Tap, celebrating his rapid recovery, when Sylvia Reed walked in. Confident, self-contained. Razor smile. "Mr. Cole," she said at the table, "I am Sylvia Reed. We have mutual interests." Tyrell raised an eyebrow and stepped back without leaving. "I know about your ex and my husband," she said. "I also know about their Paris plans next week." "Congratulations on your filing," I said. "Thank you," she said. "Donovan is going to lose everything. House, equity, custody. I am very good at what I do." She slid a manila envelope to me. Inside were photos, bank records, hotel folios, a timeline. "I have evidence to end him. I want more than a favorable decree." "What do you want?" "For him to suffer," she said. "For him to learn what loss feels like. I think you want the same lesson delivered to your ex." She was not wrong. "What are you proposing?" "They fly to Paris tomorrow night," she said. "They think the storm is behind them. It is not. I have already contacted French authorities about Donovan's tax concealment. Offshore assets, structured transfers. He thinks he is clever. He is sloppy. That is between you and him." "True," she said. "But what if Aria were implicated as a facilitator? What if she appeared to help move funds? What if she were detained on return? You would not have to lift a finger, only share information you already have. Passport numbers, itineraries, call logs. I will handle the rest with the proper authorities." "I do not have that," I lied. She smiled. "Of course you do. Think on it. They leave tomorrow." After she left, Tyrell exhaled. "That woman is a storm." "She is also not wrong," I said. "Aria played accountant for Donovan when it suited her." "So what do you do?" I thought of Aria's voice calling me easy to manage. I thought of Lorna calling me Reach. I thought of Blake counting cash outside a dive. "I give Sylvia what she wants," I said. The next evening, I sat with a whiskey and a laptop, watching the flight tracker. Air France lifted from O'Hare towards Charles de Gaulle, carrying Aria and Donovan to their imagined new beginning. They did not know French customs had been briefed with warrants, requests, and a tidy packet tying Donovan to dirty transfers and Aria to the logistics of moving them. They also did not know Sylvia had played a deeper game. Near midnight, my phone rang. Ava, calling from the warehouse, voice tight. "Uncle Nate, we have a problem." "What kind?" "The FBI is here with a warrant," she said. "They want financial records. They have documents saying our company moved money for Donovan's offshore accounts. They are looking for money laundering, concealment, conspiracy." The floor dropped under me. The puzzle snapped into place. Sylvia did not just want Donovan and Aria to fall. She wanted another target to absorb the blast. She needed a conduit that touched freight lanes, accounts, wire batches, an operation a prosecutor could map in a clean graphic. She needed me as a useful villain while she walked away clean. She had fed the feds just enough to point them toward a logistics company that could plausibly route money as easily as pallets. "Ava," I said, "get Mira on the phone. No one speaks without counsel. Mirror the servers to read only. Make backups and secure them. Offer a conference room. Be courteous. Call me when Mira arrives." "Okay," she said, small and brave. I stood at the window, watching the city. I pictured Aria and Donovan in a sterile room in Paris, separately furious. I pictured Lorna and Blake calculating angles that no longer existed. I pictured my people, 47 families depending on paychecks that could be delayed by a federal misunderstanding. Sylvia had given me what I asked for. She had also wrapped a charge around my ankles. The second call came from Mira 5 minutes later. "I am at the warehouse," she said. "Agents are professional. The warrant scope is broad but defensible. They think Cole Freight routed funds for Reed and Vale's offshore stack. We did not." "I know," she said. but the pattern they were fed points through a freight forwarder and a shell that looks like you on paper. Someone adulterated routing memos. We will handle it. Do not come down here without me telling you to. Stay put, write nothing, send nothing. I will call in a forensic accountant and an e-discovery team. We will get ahead of this. I thanked her and hung up. Tyrell watched me, jaw tight. Say it, he said. We prepare for war, I said. Then I surprised myself by smiling. Arya wanted to know what I look like with nothing left to lose. She is about to find out. The next morning began with triage. Mira installed an incident protocol and locked down every system. Our accountant, Petra, traced ACH batches line by line and flagged forged memo fields that had been injected through a vendor portal we did not use. The forensics crew imaged machines and captured logs. We found the breadcrumb Sylvia had planted, a ribbon of transactions that referenced a ghost subcarrier with a name one letter off a company we worked with. The ghost's bank was in a jurisdiction popular with vanity shells. The vendor portal access came from an IP that resolved to a boutique office near Reed and Vale. Mira made calls. By afternoon, Detective Martinez looped in a federal contact willing to listen. By evening, one agent who had been coldly neutral asked Petra to walk him through the mismatch in vendor IDs that any logistics coordinator would spot and any marketing executive would miss. The temperature in the room shifted. They did not pack up. They did stop talking like they already knew the ending. At sunrise in Paris, Arya called from a borrowed phone. Nathan, she said, voice raw. They took our passports. They took our bags. They say money laundering. Donovan is blaming me. I did not do anything. You did many things, I said. Actions have consequences. Please, she said. I am scared. Hire counsel, I said. Ask Sylvia for a recommendation. She is very good at this. She cursed, realizing it. She set us up. She set everyone up, I said, and ended the call. 2 days later, the feds returned some of our image drives and left with copies under Mira's chain of custody. They had questions, and we had precise answers. The vendor portal forgery became the center of a different conversation. By the end of the week, a magistrate signed a new warrant for offices connected to Reed and Vale's finance contractor. Headlines followed. Not about coal freight, about Donovan, about a boutique consultant, about how shell companies rode piggyback on legitimate freight paperwork to move money behind pallets of actual goods. Petra's neat spreadsheet made page 3. Lorna tried once more, calling from a blocked number to say I had ruined her daughter. I let it go to voicemail and kept the message for the file. Blake texted a threat that his attorney later apologized for in writing. Arya called again from a stateside number I did not know. I did not answer. Mira called me into her office with Ava and Petra. We are not out of the woods, she said, but the path is visible. The agents understand we were framed as a conduit. They will want cooperation in the larger case. I recommend we give it, carefully. Do it, I said. Protect the company. Protect our people. Ava looked at me. And you? I will be fine, I said. 1 foot in front of the other. We move freight. We know how to keep going. That night, I went back to Harbor Tap. Tyrell poured 2 whiskeys and raised his glass. To logistics, he said, and to never underestimating a man who knows how to move things. To logistics, I said, and to consequences. The city hummed outside. Planes crossed the sky toward faraway places. Somewhere a pink envelope sat in a drawer, like a museum piece from a failed heist. My phone buzzed with a text from Mira. The agents had closed the scene for now. The next phase would be depositions and spreadsheets and sworn statements. Good. I am comfortable in rooms where the truth is counted. I walked outside into the clean chill and felt something I had not felt since before the ambush dinner at Belandi's. It was not joy. It was not triumph. It was clarity. A map unfolding on a dashboard. The route forward was not short, but it was mine.